Okay, guys, look at me. Oh, that's cute.
Wait, no way I did this.
Good afternoon, Bronx Zoo explorers. Welcome aboard the Wild Asia Monorail. My name is Steve. I'm going to be your guide and driver today. I'm going to introduce all of you to animals from China to Nepal, India to Cambodia. But once we cross over the beautiful Bronx River. For your safety, please remain seated the entire ride. And please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle, as well as your children.
As well as your children.
Now just imagine you have traveled 7,000 miles. Welcome to Kaha Meadow. We are now on the continent of Asia. And what you're going to be seeing, aside for these two ducks, we'll have a flock of peafowl on the left-hand side, and coming up on our right, we have our herd of Backtrian Deer. Now if you notice, our bucks, our males grow out antlers, and our does, our females do not. Last week, our deer had antlers half the size of them now. It's amazing how fast these creatures can grow their headgear in, and they're used as a tool for competition. These deer will lock antlers with each other. They will push and shove and test each other's strength and willpower, and the winners of those engagements will get first pick of the does. This ritual in the wild is called sexual selection, and this is how animals showcase to each other that they might have or might be a viable partner to have healthy offspring with, because the perpetuation of the species is incredibly important. Now, once we finish rounding this corner, I'm going to introduce you all to the Shavatsky horse. The other name is the Mongolian wild horse. All of these individuals are descendants of the original herd that we've had since 1902. And I want you guys to say hello. Now what you're happening is that we have a spooked horse. And what they are doing right now is competing. They're saying, hey, I don't like what you're doing, so this is how I'm going to tell you. That's the mother protecting her foal. Just making sure she doesn't get hurt by accident. Now a horse herd will horseplay, and the way they do that is through nibbling and kicking. It's the only ways they really can communicate, because they can't speak and they have limited vocal range. They neigh and they, I guess they call, I don't know what that's actually called, it's like a raspberry. But also, sometimes an animal makes a mistake, maybe steps on the wrong animal. And this is how they communicate with each other, that they need to give each other some space. And like you said, once that was over, once the engagement is over, the herd reconciles. Back to normal and back to grazing. Now that foal is only 3 weeks old, that's why the mother is quite protective of them. Within 24 hours of a young horse's life, they have to learn how to walk. By day 3, that little guy, when he's not napping, was running around this entire enclosure. So, much like how also when they're not running, when they're not grazing, that little baby is napping, just like any other child. Now the foal's father, his name is Otto. It's important we breed them, because in the wild, 1960, they went extinct. We collaborated with zoos all across the world. Since the 60s, we developed a breeding program with them, and have been able to get the captive bred population to a high enough point where we have begun to reintroduce them back into the wild. They're from the Mongolian steppe and northern China, and they're built for hilly, rocky terrain. Their domesticated cousins are built for flat terrain. That's why they have longer legs and a leaner frame. Shavatsky horse has short legs and a stocky build. Gives them a low center of gravity, helps them traverse the hillside. Now, lastly, I mentioned Otto. In a Shavatsky horse herd, it consists of one stallion and a number of mares and their children. So this is a patriarchal herd structure where the mares follow the leadership of the stallion. The stallion ensures the herd's well-being by escorting them from pasture to pasture, making sure they have enough to eat and are safe from predators. Lastly, Otto fathers all foals in the herd. So, once again, this is a patriarchal herd structure. Coming up on our right is an example of a matriarchal herd structure. This means that the leader is a mature female, a matriarch, a mother/grandmother. Now these guys are the largest species of wild cattle in the world and are actually what you find on the Kenner Red Bull. They stand 6 feet tall, 10 feet long, and weigh 2,000 to 3,000 pounds each. I'm going to introduce you as we roll up to them, the Indian Gaur. They're going to be right in front of us. We have some in the tree line towards the back, and then a small gathering on the fence line. How you doing, guys? Ladies? Now their size gives them no natural predators in the wild. They even can shake off the attacks of a full-grown tiger, once they are an adult, that is. What makes them vulnerable is habitat loss, which is our issue, it's our conflict with them, and starvation. So the matriarch has similar responsibilities to the stallion, that being to be the herd's memory bank. From what her own elders taught her, paired with her lived memory and experience, she would be able to lead her entire herd to the best meadows for grazing, ensuring they have plenty to eat. Sounds like everybody else's grandmother, constantly making sure that people are fed. I think that's what we have in common with them. And as we round this corner, we're going to be hearing the sounds bouncing off the Bronx River Parkway. It's directly behind us. This is our concrete jungle that lives alongside our Asian one. Now, we constructed this wooden fence in front of you because the sounds coming off the parkway are invasive to the ears of our animals. These creatures are not accustomed, and it's not in their code to recognize the sounds of an automotive vehicle. So this fence dampens the noise pollution that comes down the parkway and helps us give our animals a serene and naturally sounding environment. Now in this enclosure, we have to keep our eyes peeled, but this is where I often reinforce that we must remain seated. Down there, and this might be hard to see, but I do say this is the enclosure you don't want to fall into. Please remain seated. This is Suhana. Suhana is a Malayan Tiger.
You see it there?
Yeah, I see it right against the fence.
She's down here today in the dirt, probably trying to stay cool. You may not be able to get a good look at her. She rotates this enclosure with a male tiger named Anakin. Do this intentionally because we want to encourage behavioral enrichment, giving them an opportunity to talk to each other like they normally would in the wild. What does that look like? Well, Suhana, when she's not resting on her dirt patch, is marking the tree trunks with her claws, and she creates unique scratch marks. She will also spray her scent on everything that she can get the spray on. This is how one tiger talks to another. In the wild, if you see another tiger's claw marks and smell their scent, that means you're entering the boundaries of their territory. And because they're solitary by nature, they compete for resources. So outside the mating season, if two tigers meet, they will fight. When Anakin has run of that territory, he will look for Suhana's markings and scent, and then leave his own. Now, on the fence line are more Barasingha, and towards the back are black buck antelope. This is the back end of Kaha Meadow. This is the first meadow we entered to start the tour.
And oh my God, trying to impress us.
Now, all of these deer would normally be on Suhana's menu in the wild. The tiger makes a kill. A tiger gorges on 40 pounds of meat in one sitting. Now 40 pounds of meat to a tiger is 160 hamburgers for a person. The next animal on the tiger's menu will be living in a bamboo thicket. Now we constructed this enclosure the way we did because these are prey animals that want to feel secure by hiding in the dirt and mud and the thicket. This is a Babirusa. He's a male. I can tell because Babirusa males have tusks. The Babirusa's name means pig deer because despite their gray heavy frame, they have longer legs than most other hog. They need it. On top of their camouflage, they need to be able to outrun predators out in the wild, and when they're not running, they are hiding. Now, we set this up in a way you don't see the Babirusas, or you get like a second of them. The next two animals are impossible to miss. We have on this end of the enclosure, Happy, the elephant. I can tell it's Happy because Happy does not have hair on her tail. She also has a longer trunk than Patty. Patty's over there. Patty has hair on her tail, and I call Patty extra. What do I mean by extra? She puts extra hay on her back. This is how in the wild, dirt and hay and mud are used as sunblock and bug repellent. And she's giving herself Happy on the left-hand side a bit of a dust bath herself. Now the human body is in its totality are made of 160 something muscles. An elephant's trunk alone possesses 40,000 muscles.
40,000?
Now they're both 10,000 pounds, and so an elephant has to eat 200 pounds of hay a day and drink 60 gallons of water to maintain their curves. Now, Happy sometimes showcases just how smart she is. I think what she's doing right there, because I'm now kind of, I'm now being blocked by a couple of trees, but I've seen her do this a couple of days ago. She actually understands that if you mix water and dirt, you get mud. That's a sign of some real intelligence in the animal kingdom, being able to understand if you take one element and another one, they create something different. Apologies, allergy season is getting to me this week. Now, on top of their amazing intelligence and emotional intelligence, sometimes we get treated to seeing Patty and Happy receive pedicures and baths from the keepers. And this helps them associate the monorail and the new guests with positive experiences, and also facilitating trust between the keeper and the animal. These routines are called enrichment, and they help them acclimate to the life in captivity. Now the next enclosure is home to Callie. Now Callie is a greater one-horned rhino, an Indian rhinoceros. I didn't see her in the first mud wallow. Oh, I see some ripples and some flickering ears. Here's Callie. Callie is part of a species that's critically endangered in the wild with 3,500 left. They are poached for their horn. Their horn is made of the same material as your fingernails and hair and possess no medicinal properties. Despite that, you could still sell a horn on the black market for a lot of money. They also lose their habitat to human encroachment, farm development. But lastly, they have a 5-year reproductive turnaround. They're pregnant for 16 months, a year and a half. They give birth to a calf that's 150 pounds. And a calf stays by their mother's side between 2 to 3 years. Only after that 3rd year period will they be ready to reproduce again. So it's really hard for them to rebound their numbers. Fortunately, we have a rhino breeding program here that's been going on since the 70s, and it's been very successful. Since 1977, we have been able to breed 14 rhino calves here. We do this collaborating with other zoos across the country to ensure genetic diversity. This makes sure, or increases the likelihood of having a healthy calf born as opposed to a sickly one. Now you can probably see some animals through the tree line here. Once we pass them, you'll be able to see the entirety of the uplands. This meadow is home to 5 more deer species. Because Asia is the largest landmass, technically including Europe, the Eurasian landmass is the largest landmass on the planet. A large landmass creates a variety of biomes. And a variety of biomes creates environmental pressures. Animals adapt to environmental pressures by evolving. And what does evolution look like? They change their behaviors and their physicality. So what you just saw around that fence line, I actually saw 3 different species of deer. They're more similar to the other deer in the meadow. The bright orange one was the Muntjac deer. I believe the spotted one that we saw was the Formosan Sika. And then, as we were making this corner, along that fence line was a male and female hog deer. Each one of them have developed physical adaptations based on their environmental demands. They also shift their behavior. So a hog deer runs like a hog. It creeps and ducks and weaves. A brown antler deer, on the other hand, is far more graceful, a little larger and thinner, and they prance and they dance, they leap. We're going to be seeing a few of them on this end of the meadow, and all of these deer are dwarfed by the sandbar. Now the sandbar are the largest. They look like horses. They stand 5 feet at the shoulder and weigh 650 pounds each. So in front of us are some brown antler deer, and towards the back are the sandbar. This time of day, they have the best sunlight on that corner of the meadow, and by end of day, they're all the way down there where we entered. Their barn was directly behind us. Now I saw one right down here, but let's keep our eyes peeled for the ridges of this meadow, or the edges. Sometimes you can find them in the leaves here. There is a 40-pound deer here. Here's one right here. This is the Chinese tufted. This is the last species of deer you'll see today. And they have a unique adaptation. I think that's a male. If you look at its mouth, you can tell it's a male. You know why? Males do not grow antlers. Instead they grow fangs. Their fangs give them the nickname the vampire deer. They eat grass and graze, so they don't drink blood, but it's a competition tool. The moral of this tour here, if you can take any of this information home with you, if you have antlers, horns, fangs, or tusks, they are a competition tool for sexual selection. Now what you're seeing in the middle of the river here, this is 35 feet above the Bronx River, the highest point. That's a raptor. Raptor means bird of prey. I can't tell exactly what it is, but all birds are descended from the dinosaurs. But the modern raptor would consist of eagles, falcons, hawks, and owls. Now, this is the home of the Markhor. Look at the tree. That goat was able to get up there because of a 4 to 6 foot high jump that they can do without a running start. They're able to stick to the tree like that because they have a rubber-like sole at the bottom of their hoof. Now look at this guy. Look at the horns and his beard. This is the reason why I call them the goat of goats. These are the Markhor Goat. They're the national animal of Pakistan. What's around them are their females. The females have horns that grow up to 10 inches, while the males have horns that grow up to 5 feet. Sometimes you can see them using them in different ways, including as a pretty practical organic back scratcher. Now they use their abilities to get at hard to reach vegetation and to avoid predators in the wild. Sticking to cliff faces and mountain faces, making sure they can avoid things that are not as graceful as them. Now last but not least, in this enclosure we have a red panda family. Right now they're showcasing their semi-arboreal nature. You have 2 in the tree and 1 on the ground. Being semi-arboreal, they're both adapted to climbing trees and foraging on the forest floor. Now despite their name, they're not related to the panda bear. They are actually related to the weasel, the skunk, and the raccoon. I have a red, so I'm gonna be extra nice to our back end of our truck because we're gonna stop a little bit to wait for, or I'm actually gonna slow down a bit. Just slow down a lot until this turns yellow. Once it turns yellow, I gotta speed back up. So you guys got a few extra seconds on the back end of the truck with the pandas. They have some neat nicknames. In the Malayan tongue, they're known as the fire fox, and in Mandarin, their name means little bear cat.
Little bear cat. The big bear cat is the big that thing. Cool. The big bear.
I think they have a broad appeal. I put money every year that these guys sell more plush toys than any other animal at the zoo.
The big bear cat is called a binturong. Their pee smells like a cat. A leopard. Not even hard.
As we round this corner, we're going to come close to the end of the tour. I have to make a brief stop that lasts 10 to 30 seconds for my computers to reset. Then we'll be docking at platform. In the meantime, I want to teach you a little bit about the Bronx River. Within the river, this is a naturally forming ecosystem that has been here probably for millennia before even we showed up. It consists of indigenous animals, including migratory birds, waterfowl, and raptors. Like I said, raptor means bird of prey. And raptors eat the big fish. The big fish eat the small fish. Small fish eat the bugs that hover above the water's surface. They also are eaten by reptiles and amphibians. So you'll find snapping turtle, red-eared sliders, frogs and salamanders, garter snakes and king snakes. You will also find small mammals. That would be your squirrel, your chipmunk, your gopher, your opossum, your raccoon. This is New York City, so I bet rats and mice are here too. Maybe a pigeon. Now, all these creatures create the Bronx River's biodiversity. These classes of animals all have niches in the ecosystem that help keep the environment in balance. Preserving places like this is our mission because we are the WCS. That's the Wildlife Conservation Society. We manage 5 parks across New York City, including our headquarters, the Bronx Zoo. But in addition, we have 300 sites in over 60 countries across the world. And that's where our eco guards and our field experts do their work. They do actionable conservation, mitigating conflict between society and nature. But they also stay on top of research and world events. Their research helps me do my job. My niche is to take their research and facts and disseminate it back to the public. And the public is the last niche. You complete a circle that helps stand with wildlife. Every time you visit, whether it's an annual visit or if you're a member who is here all the time, if you are with a school, a camp, buy merchandise, donate, go on rides, whatever. You're giving us the financial backing and the capital necessary to perpetuate our mission. These success stories, the Shavosky horse, the Indian rhino, could not have been accomplished without your support. So we want to thank you for your patronage today and your visit, because you have also been helping us do this for 125 years, a century and a quarter. It's a major milestone. We're gonna get ready to dock real soon. Just let me readjust my stuff. I hope what you heard and saw today was inspiring. Just be mindful when exiting the train. There's a few steps to look out for, so please don't trip. And stay seated until the doors open. Once again, my name is Steve. It was such a pleasure to give you this tour. Enjoy the beautiful weather. We lucked out, no rain today. If you haven't visited the rest of the park yet, I recommend Jungle World. And we have a new exhibit running through September. It's called Animal Chronicles. We have some what we call eco sculptures created by some brilliant artists that represent some of our most popular animals and tells the story of the Bronx Zoo's history with animal conservation. So make sure you check that out before the end of September. Once again, my name is Steve. I was your guide and your driver. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I hope to see you back here very soon.